James Sunderland is the protagonist of Silent Hill 2, widely considered one of the best survival horror video games ever. His story is one of desperation, suffering, and his own plentiful guilt. The game has its quirks, of course, but the impersonal camera, foggy atmosphere, weird characters, and janky controls make it kind of a one-of-a-kind experience. But why am I talking about James Sunderland on my Elf Game YouTube channel? Because it's a spooky season, and horror is always a fascinating shit show to talk with our funny little click-clack games. Horror as a genre can cover a lot of different perspectives. You can be deadly serious or very comedic, rely on visceral deaths or psychological torment. It's a mixture of different ideas and themes, which is why horror is now somewhat the domain of the indie star. Indie movies, indie games, indie shows all use horror as a satisfying backdrop to scare the bejeebus out of people and usually say something a little bit more thought-provoking. But indie TTRPGs also use horror, but I've always felt it was less effective. Let's take a second and really think about what you would classify as a horror movie. You're probably thinking of a range of Hostels, Saw, Friday the 13th, maybe some A24 bullshit if you're feeling really pretentious. Horror video probably has you thinking about the Ishimura, Spencer Mansion, or the titular hell of Silent Hill. TTRPGs, though, well, probably the first one that comes to mind is Call of Cthulhu, spooky, scary, gribbler monsters from H.P. Lovecraft's Cat. You might be thinking about playing Jenga or maybe World of Darkness and melodramatic vampires where you are the monster. I think the main issue when talking about horror and TTRPGs really boils down to three major things. The first is that movies, games, shows, even music, and a lot of other things can build their atmosphere a lot better. There is something important, fundamental about those foggy streets and rusted hellscapes of Silent Hill and the other world. The distorted monsters that move wrong. The characters speaking in distant, whimsical, and casual ways. Even just the little sounds, the fear of what's around the corner, the terror that something may be following you, the quiet punctuated by, scary monster, holy shit! Then you have the expectations, of course. You feel powerful in Silent Hill when you get a gun, but ammo is limited. It's a lifeline, a way to save your sorry ass when you really need it. You can fight your way through the hordes of monsters, but every shot is a little bit of pain. Every second wasted is a second you could be used elsewhere, and you can pause the game. So just remove combat from your TTRPG, right? It's a little bit more complicated than that. It's the feeling of vulnerability that comes with it. Those awkward camera angles hide things from you. Awkward dice systems make you a little bit angry. Limited resources make you conserve and think. Limited system resources make players sit and wait. Dying has you reload a save, while a PC dying is an awkward song and dance trying to make everything feel a little bit better for everyone involved. Finally, you kind of have the kicker and arguably the thunking moment of this video, people. They say anything is more fun with friends, and that is objectively true, especially among the right friends and right people. Fatal is an enjoyable time if you're with people you actually care about, but horror is kneecapped by it as well. Another person there means that you're not alone. James isn't walking around Silent Hill with 2 to 3 other James Sunderlands looking for their wives as well. You are alone. And every mistake is your mistake. When you have a party, the nature of the story changes. The band of people, the little jokes, the smoke breaks, the 3 beers and someone eating dinner kind of diminish the spook factor. Players ruin the spookiness because they're people and you can't really take that away from them. So the perfect horror game needs to either remove people or have the right people, which the latter already is kind of a crapshoot because, as stated before, everything is better with friends or the right people. I remember going to an escape room with a group of my pals and it was vaguely horror themed. We were trying to solve some puzzles and figure out the situation. Some of us reacted with desperation because we needed to solve the puzzle fast. Others got spooked because of the situation we were in and the loud noises. But we were always together, and the reason we were scared was because of the atmosphere was right and the expectations were set. It's a pretty classic trilemma, actually, one that TTRPGs really struggle with. You get things like 10 Candles. The entire game is built around the premise of getting that atmosphere and those expectations set, so your friends don't actually matter as much. A solo game may remove friends and set expectations, but you're gonna lose the atmosphere pretty quickly unless you, the person, deliberately set yourself up for that situation, which you are doing because you already know you're doing it. So how do you make the ideal horror game? That is the wrong question to ask, though. What you should be asking is, what kind of horror are you looking for? Trying to get the spooks is a bit more complicated than just having a lot of blood and or scary images on the cover. The goal is to address those three issues. The easy answer would be making something like a gory ROM. Then fuck it, we can just make Resident Evil Dead. The atmosphere is established by everyone already being a bit goofy, and the expectations are powerfully capable. Yeah, you can chainsaw a demon to death, but you're still in a bad spot because Super Saiyan has Mega Hitler to back him up. However, if you're looking to make Silent Hill, then things get complicated. What makes Silent Hill work? The atmosphere soaks into the environment, the expectations that you can fight, but it's rarely the ideal outcome, and the fleeing is just as valid. And most importantly, James is alone in this. This is his story. This is his expectations, his adventure, his sins. Being alone in a TTRPG is pretty hard. If it's not a group, there's a GM. If there's not a GM, there's a writer trying to predict what you'll find spooky, or worse, just you trying to improvise what you would find scary. Maybe is there some lovely game that hits all three of these and the secret ace in the hole? Probably. But these are meandering thoughts from a man who doesn't actually like horror very much. If you have some ideas, the next great American horror indie TTRPG, hit me up with some ideas. Most of my ideas are just an actual one with horror haphazardly stapled on with a nail gun. My name is Notepad, and this was some meandering thoughts about horror and TTRPGs. If you like what I do here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and many thanks to the patrons as always. Godspeed, good luck, and spooky skeleton!